Are you thinking about launching your own tech startup? Launching a startup can be exciting but also scary. You might worry about not having enough money, not knowing what to do, or if your idea is good enough. So in this video you'll get the tips and practical techniques to understand if starting a startup would work for you. So at the end of this video you'll be 100% comfortable knowing if starting your startup is the right thing for you. So before talking about starting your tech startup, let's define what startup is. We should not confuse the term starting a startup versus starting a business, because startup is very specific type of the business. So how the startup is different from any other business? So first of all, startups are valuable, and we can tell it about every business because every business should be valuable. However, I just wanted to emphasize that in order to succeed with startup, it must be valuable, it must help people or solve problem or be desirable by people. The second one is the startup is innovative, and there might be different part of your startup that is innovative. It might be the innovative product itself. So the solution you're offering didn't exist before. You can also have an innovative business model. Let's say the solution you're offering already exists, but the business model you created around this solution didn't exist. In that case, we can tell that your business is startup. To be more specific, the innovation that startup makes could be even in the type of you delivering the solution. So for instance, in the niche you choose, the traditional strategy is to deliver the solution through consulting services, but your startup is about creative and mobile application or SaaS platform that will help people to self-serve themselves using your software. So another thing that differentiates startup from regular business, that in most cases startup has the potential to create new market or even new industry. In a lot of cases when startups are scaling out, that they are combining multiple solutions together and combining the chunks of existing industries and niches together, thus creating a new industry. Another thing about startups, that the startup market is uncertain. As far as your product is innovating and you doing something that hasn't been done before, you don't have the market data to properly forecast how this thing will evolve financially. So you have a conditions of extreme uncertainty. Another thing that highlights startups is that startups have the potential to hypergrow. So the regular business usually have a prediction growth model, accelerating their growth is a certain percentage every year or so. In a startup, the hypergrowth could happen so rapidly and so exponentially that no any other business are capable of having this. And to finish about clarification about startups, I want to emphasize that in this video we're talking about tech startups. And tech startups are those that bringing innovation with technology. So don't be confused between business and startup and tech startup here. Now getting to figuring out whether starting a tech startup is right for you. So the first thing I'd ask you to do to understand if the startup is the right thing for you, write down your motivation behind starting a tech startup. And you can do it right now. Just write down your motivation. And your motivation could be something like fame, status, money, experience, or any other kind of motivation. Just don't limit yourself by this set of motivation I've provided. Find out what is your unique motivation to run this startup. After you note it down, write down your top 3 life goals. And you can do it right now. And it shouldn't be really complicated. Just take the first 3 things that came to your mind and write it down. Is it like having a big family, making an impact for the world, be rich, be famous, visit all the countries of the world? Just write down your top 3 life goals and just don't overcomplicate it, make it as simple as possible. Okay, after you note it down, let's check if your motivation to start a tech startup have a relation to your life goals. If you see that your motivation intersects with your life goals, or you can find a path of how can you quickly and easily achieve your life goals with your motivation to start tech startup, congratulations, you are clear about why you want running the startup. In another case, if you don't have a clear intersection here and you don't really know if your life goals align with your startup motivation, or you're unclear how your startup motivation will lead you to your life goals, it's completely okay. It might be a sign of an inner conflict that's happening within you right now, that your life goals are not aligning with your current startup motivation, and it's totally fine. The same thing happened to me a while ago. I was pushing myself with the idea to run the startup, and it didn't quite well resonated with my life goals, so I was burning out, I was emotionally exhausted, but I still wanted to run the startup and I was just confused. So in that case, I have burned out multiple times until I just give it up and chill out. And this is what I would recommend you to do. Just chill out. You shouldn't be stressing about starting a startup right now if you're not clear how your motivation will align with your life goals. If you're not clear about any of this, it's totally okay. Just chill out. Just try to live the life for today only and bring yourself to the lay down lifestyle for a while. You shouldn't be stressing that you're wasting your life because you're doing it only for a while. And why I'm telling you to chill out, because this chilling out mode will put you into the creative creative state where you just living by your quick desires. And living in this creative mode will let you truly understand what you want, and it will reveal your true sincere desires, not the desires you showed Instagram, or not the desire that caused because of jealousy or anything like that, just your clear true desires. And after you will have that clear, you might do that exercise again. You might write down your motivation to running the startup, you might write down your life goals and see if it aligns or not. So now, after you're clear about your motivation, your life goals, and you're clear what to do if you are not aware about your motivation or life goals right now, let's find out if your motivation and your reasons to start a tech startup are truly worth to achieve your life goals. So let's consider the financial motivation behind running a startup. Let's say you want to be rich and you have chosen to launch a tech startup that will achieve hyper growth and you will become rich. And this is really a nice choice, because startups are indeed capable of hyper growth and can you make a multi-billionaire in up to 10 years. Also, we can see that the list of the most top valuable companies in the world are mostly consist of tech companies. And really, right now in today's world, the biggest opportunity to become rich quickly is to launch a successful tech startup. However, there are some cons in choosing tech startup to becoming rich. And the first of it is uncertainty. So startups are functioning in conditions of extreme uncertainty. Startup might not work for you if you prefer stability. However, if you like adventures and you can embrace uncertainty, it might be okay for you. Also, startup is not the only way to become rich. There are multiple other ways how you can become rich without taking the startup journey. You can become rich slowly by working 9 to 5 and investing in index funds, or you can join another startup as an employee. Thus, you will have a better stability, but still a big opportunity to become rich from the equity of that startup. Also, starting a successful tech startup requires dedication. If you're not comfortable to creating systems, solve problems, and continuously switching between creative and chore mind, starting tech startup might not be a good fit for you. There are a bunch of different opportunities you can take advantage of to get rich, like creating online courses, selling stuff online, becoming blogger, whatever. Now let's talk about the fame as a motivation to start your startup. So let's say you want to be famous and you have decided that you can launch the tech startup and become famous. Would tech startup be the best vehicle for you to become famous? And indeed, successful startups are getting recognized quickly. All the business publications are creating tons of articles about successful startups, and successful startups gaining fame really fast. Also, in today's world, tech magnates are even more famous than celebrities or movie stars. However, you should consider that the fame itself might not be a sufficient motivation for you to run a tech startup. There are a couple of other options how we can become famous, like become a famous writer, blogger, become famous artist, or just become famous by creating a valuable product as an employee. So it doesn't necessarily to launch your tech startup in order to become famous. So considering these pros and cons, you can figure out if becoming famous with tech startup is the right thing for you. So another big motivation to launch your tech startup is to make an impact for the world. So this is really decent and socially recognizable motivation, because indeed launching a tech startup has a big impact potential. Also, tech space has an ability to impact whole the world from the one place. Like the team of ChatGPT are sitting in one office and they impacting whole the world. Same happens pretty much to the Facebook and Google. However, you should also be aware that it's not necessarily to be the startup founder to make an impact. You can make an impact by being a startup employee. For instance, let's consider Google Maps. Google Maps is a super impactful product that was created by an employee of Google that wasn't a founder or startup owner of the Google, so he still made a sufficient impact. So considering these points, you can better understand if starting your own tech startup will be the best way for you to make an impact for the world. So considering all of these, how can we know whether launching a tech startup is right for us, or should we switch to any of the examples we just discussed? And I think money, fame, and impact are great motivators to start the startup, but the ideal motivation to start the startup would be those motivators combined with passion. If you want to be rich, famous, make an impact, and you're also passionate about tech startups, then starting a tech startup is right for you. But it's not only being passionate about tech startups, it's also being passionate about your mental growth, because the difference between average person and top 1% rich person is in their mind. It's also about being passionate about solving problems. It's also being passionate about uncertainty. It's also being passionate about working with smart people, building smart teams. It's also about having a vision and being passionate to deliver this vision. So if you're passionate about all of these, that's the ideal prescription to start your tech startup. So think about your passions. Make sure you're passionate about the process. Make sure you're passionate about the work you are doing every day. Don't bring too much passion to your end goal, as it will demotivate you from doing your daily process, daily work. Fall in love with the process and the success will flow your way. A lot of people saying that running startup is hard, but this is not true. Running startup might be hard if you don't know what to do or you're not passionate about it. Running startup is exciting and inspiring when you're passionate about it and you know how to do it. So if you're interested in learning how you can run your startups, you'll be excited and inspired about it, make sure to subscribe to my channel where I'm teaching how to start and run tech startups effortlessly and easy. So thank you for watching. Click here if you want to watch more where my latest upload will appear. Thank you so much and click the like button if you like this video.